No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today I'm having to sit down with somebody who's got a very interesting backstory and is doing a lot of good things with their life. And there's definitely a left field interview that they're going to see coming, but I think it's going to be a good one. Tye Trujillo.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Sure. Yeah, that's good.
All right, good.
Perfect.
I don't want to be like looking stupid out here or anything. But okay, so the nuts and bolts, the short version of it that makes this kind of like a crazy story is that you're a young dude who's really making waves in the metal rock community, etc. But you've got a very interesting backstory because you're actually the son of the bassist of Metallica, which is crazy because it must have just, I'm just like very interested to talk to you about what your upbringing was like and everything like that. So
yeah, definitely. I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
Definitely, man. No, I'm hyped to have you here. So, okay, where exactly did you grow up?
So I grew up exactly kind of in Venice Beach area for the first couple years, and then I moved out to the Bay Area for a bit, and then moved back over here pretty quickly. So yeah.
For sure. And you're young right now. What are you, 21?
Yeah, 21, yeah.
21. Okay. So what was it like just growing up, having a dad who I assume was like constantly on the road? I'm doing the math in my head now, like 2004. I assume they were still touring like a lot.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool because I got to travel like a good amount. Like I would go on tour partially with the family and stuff, and I'd get to like explore all of these like cool places. So I was exposed to like a bunch of different parts of the world at a young age, which I'm really grateful for. Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, a lot of the people that I know who are in bands and stuff, they're like smaller bands and they go on tour and they're gone for months at a time and their family's not around and stuff. And it's just kind of torturous. But I guess, when you get down to it, Metallica's a big enough band that they can, have their families with them and stuff like that. So they can kind of live a bit more of a balanced life.
Totally. Yeah, like the families would go on the road, and like I would hang with a lot with the families and stuff, with the kids, the other kids too. So it was really cool.
That's sick. Yeah. So okay, this is something I always think about though, is like from early on, how much were you exposed to in terms of metal and music in general? How much of that stuff were you turned on to? Because like I have a kid who's almost 5. She don't know anything about rap. But rap's a little different, or at least like the type of rap that I'm involved with. We're kind of, it makes a lot of sense for me to not really like have her super close to it, at least at this point. But what were your parents like in that regard?
Well, so there's a lot of music going on, like getting played around like the car and stuff. Driving to school and stuff. I was listening to a lot of like. There was a lot of Tool being played in the car, like Alice in Chains, kind of bands like that. But then my mom was into the heavier stuff. She was into bands like Death, all these bands.
Wow.
So a lot of just different stuff.
Yeah, because it is weird. Because like it's obvious why a kid would need a little bit of space between like gangster rap and shit, all the swearing and bad themes. It's like not very good for a kid. But like just sonically, like I played my kid Slayer.
Yeah.
And she thinks it's funny. She thinks it's kind of crazy. She's like, that's some crazy music, And I played her Sleep Token.
Okay, cool.
And I think she was actually like really into that because like it's like most of their songs they get into some screaming or some like heavier parts, but it's like kind of later on in the song, so she's able to like adjust to it, and then it's like a surprise.
Sure.
But as far as just listening to Death, I feel like that's kind of for a young kid. That's a lot to take in.
It was a lot to take in. There was something I did like about it, like as a little kid, which is crazy. I don't know. I liked the intensity of it. But then from like these kind of platform bands, and I got more into like obscure bands and stuff. And so I'm grateful for the exposure. Yeah,
definitely. So okay, but did your parents get you into playing music real early, or like how did you get into that?
So, sort of like I think I was like being exposed to it. I like picked up the instrument from like seeing it around and kind of like wanting to be able to pick up the instrument and start getting on stage and playing. But I was like first interested in drums, and then I tried guitar, and then after that I was like, all right, I think I want to play bass. So I kind of want to have a little bit of both, which is like want to have the melody, but I also want to be involved in the rhythm section too. So
was it a thing where guitar just like, did it seem more difficult and bass was a little bit more chill, or was it something where, I don't know, like what kind of drove you towards that?
So yeah, actually, funny thing is, so bass, like I actually didn't want to play guitar because like at first, because it was like, oh, so many solos and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to like go through the difficulty of that, like trying to learn all these solos. I just want to lay back and play bass. Then I started playing bass, and I started getting into doing bass solos. So it almost came around to the point where it's like, well, you know, either way, I'll be soloing at some point in the song, like, or doing little stuff here and there with flavor. But
did you get lessons as a young kid, or were you just like looking at YouTube and figuring shit out?
I was mainly like, I had lessons here and there as like a platform, but then after I like with those things I learned in the lesson as a little kid, then I just started practicing them more on my own, and eventually just started kind of like learning stuff just by myself and teaching me stuff, and then watching a little bit of YouTube here and there for stuff.
So were you turned on to a lot of other types of music, or were your parents more just like rock metal oriented? Like, was that just their number one shit?
Yeah, I mean, so my dad he was into like he's into like funk stuff, so I had that getting played growing up too. And then after that I kind of just went from there and listened to other different stuff. So
so you're a young kid and you know that your dad is in a band. That's like kind of a relatable experience. But then at some point you figure out like, oh, my dad is in like the biggest metal band of all time. I believe that that's true. I can't really think of anybody else who'd be really up there.
Right.
Do you remember like what that was like when that kind of kicked in and you realized like, oh, this isn't just a regular band. This is a big deal.
Like, I remember when that kicked in, it was like, it kicked in pretty early on, because like always like seeing the crowd and the amount of people there at like all of his shows.
Right.
It's like, okay, like I know these guys are like pretty huge.
I don't have anything to compare this to, but it seems like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of people.
And I mean, but was that ever kind of overwhelming? Do you remember like asking your, I guess you wouldn't remember, they would probably remember better, but do you remember like questioning them about that, or like, you know, what was that like?
I remember like some parts were overwhelming when there's like outsiders kind of staring at us, or people, you know, like the fans of the band, like hardcore fans,
right?
They would just be like sometimes outside the hotel or something like that, and I was like, this is crazy, you know. So that part was,
it's got to be weird to take that in as a kid too, because like you can go to Starbucks with your dad and probably 99% of the time nobody's recognizing them, but then you're in the area of the show and you got people camped out outside the hotel, and they come out on stage and the whole crowd's losing their mind. Like that must have been a little tricky to like wrap your head around at a certain point.
It's a trip. It's definitely eye-opening. It's like, whoa, what's going on here?
Like my kid is used to me taking photos, but there's gonna be a day where she's around me in a different scenario, where it's probably gonna be a lot more to explain. Like, oh, this is I have to take 100 photos today. It's not just like one here and there. Do you have any particular like memories of going on tour when you were real young, and like just anything that really stood out to you in terms of bands you were on the road with your dad or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like it's just like exploring a lot of cool places. I remember like being in Tokyo, like checking out like the streets there, and like just like seeing how much of a like crazy obscure kind of place it is, and like such a cool place. And like just like seeing all the locations I really liked, and like back then, and like kind of building like a connection with all these different stops on the road and stuff. And so
because I feel like that's one thing that like most kids, the average kid is just super enamored with and fascinated. I know like when I turned like 18, 19, my goal was seriously just, I want to travel. I want to see every state in the United States. If I can go overseas, that would be the ultimate shit that I could do. But I mean, to you, that's kind of, you didn't really have as many of these places to cross off, which I feel like kind of opens your mind a lot as a young person.
It does. Yeah. And it's crazy because I remember like, I would like, my parents would want to take me to like some historic place or something like that, and I was like, no, I'm tired, I don't want to go, as a little kid. But then now I'm like so glad I went and like checked these places out. So I'm like, now I want to just see everything when I travel. So I'm super glad I saw some places.
Definitely. Was your dad super hyped that you chose bass because you guys could directly relate on that?
Yeah, I think so, because there's a certain like connection with that instrument. It was like kind of bass player is kind of like a family kind of sort of thing where everybody's kind of like, oh cool, you play bass. Bass players are a little more mellow than maybe like somebody like maybe like both drummers or like guitarists can get competitive with each other.
Right.
So
yeah, that's interesting how every instrument has like a different character type. Like if you're the singer, you kind of have to be the extrovert. You probably have to have the person who has the most energy in the room.
Yeah.
But if you're the bassist, or if you're the drummer, it's like very technical, but then you're all the way in the back, kind of easy to not notice you. So that's probably like the best role for somebody who's a little bit more ducked off.
Right. Totally. Yeah, it's crazy because like sometimes personalities could collide between both musicians or people that play the same instrument from different bands on the bill. Like, oh yeah, I could play this guitar part. Oh no, you can play that. Oh, I could play this.
Right. Okay, I gotta ask this. Like, what did you see as a young dude in terms of the wilder side of being on the road? Because I'm assuming that by the time you're on the road with your dad and everything, that like Metallica's not really like partying so much anymore. But are you seeing like people being drunk as shit, people getting wasted? Are you seeing groupies and this type of stuff, or is it kind of, are you like removed from that just because they're an older band that all mostly had families and everything, I would assume?
Yeah, I mean they're definitely like older band. I think they had that probably their fair share in the past maybe, but yeah, nowadays everybody's pretty responsible. Like even if they indulge in something, it's like they're very like mostly responsible about it. So I don't really see too much of that like uncontrollably. So it's it's pretty, but it's kind of everybody's on top of it. So
yeah, because when you're young and in a band, it's just like, oh, let's just go hard as let's just be out of control and everything. But I feel like if you're gonna make it into your 40s, even just being in a band, at some point, you're gonna have to start taking your health seriously and start, if this is gonna last a long time, you can't just be burning the candle at both ends.
You can't. The priorities probably change after a certain amount of time.
Do you ever memory of the first time you saw a mosh pit and were just like realizing like, hey, that's pretty crazy. Like these people are beating the out of each other.
Yeah, first time I saw a mosh pit.
I'm sure you're seeing it since like super young, but the first time you like noticed it and maybe like asked your parents like, hey, what the are they doing in there?
Yeah, I think like I didn't see too many mosh pits at Metallica shows. I'd like from what I remember.
Really,
it's kind of crazy because a lot of them were kind of more like a lot of the fans are kind of more mellow because it was kind of they were getting a little bit older
crowd at that point.
So I saw more of, I think I remember seeing like Slayer mosh pit when like on the Big Four tour.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's good. And I was like, all right, they're going pretty insane. But I kind of like didn't really think too much of it. I thought it was just a part of it when I first saw it, which is kind of crazy. I didn't really react to it. But I would say when I started seeing hardcore moshing, I was like, oh, this is interesting, And I was like,
because that's the stuff that I really like came up around was like going to shows in an Elks Lodge with like 50 people there, and like those are the clips that I always see going viral on Instagram now.
Yeah.
Because normal people just can't wrap their head around why people are going into this room and just getting kicked in the head. But it just looks so violent because there's not enough people there.
Right.
Like when there's 1,000 people in the mosh pit, you can be beating the shit out of people and it doesn't really stand out that much. But like when you have very few people in the room, it just really looks pretty egregious.
Yeah.
But okay, so break down how, okay, so you had a kid metal band.
Yeah,
the helmets.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Very hard to find information about this because you end up finding information about the band Helmet.
No, right,
which is different.
Great band. Yeah.
What was that like? Were you involved in like? Did you actually come together as kids, or like how did that work?
So how that happened was like we came together all as kids. Like we were all kind of one of my buddies in that band was like in my kindergarten class way back then, and then we all kind of, our parents were all friends and stuff. We came together and started just doing covers. So that was like a platform of like starting out, I guess, like a milestone foundation of like when I started learning how to play bass at a very young age and stuff.
Definitely. But so how you that band didn't really go anywhere? You guys would just practice and play and just like kind of learn your instruments collectively like that?
Yeah, like we were able to play a few gigs, but then after that we since kind of split off and then formed our new bands and stuff. So,
yeah, because a couple months ago I was in Newport and along the beach there was this like venue that had like a kids rock metal group playing, and probably they were like 10, 11 or something like that. It's like a little girl and there's like a kid playing drums, like a whole band. And I think if I remember correctly that they were playing a Metallica song. And it was kind of shocking to me, but then there's like stuff on the wall that's kind of specifying like, oh, this is like a program you can kind of put your kid into where we can teach them to play their instrument and be in a band. So that's how this kind of stuff comes together.
Totally.
It was pretty cool though. My kid, she needs to see that. She needs to see like, hey, you could be like a little girl and sing in a band. Like that's okay. That's fine. You know?
Totally. Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. It's inspiring. It's good to see like, think like a young musicians like doing it, and and it's good to know that like live music is still around and alive.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Did it ever like, because I feel like in this day and age, like there's just so many ways you could get into music and making music that is not collective, where you're joining up with a bunch of other musicians. You could just sit in your room and make beats, or know, realistically you can make a whole rock album just like playing all the different instruments and just put it together on your computer or whatever. Like did that stand out to you a bit as a kid? Was there ever a moment where you realized like, oh, I'm part of the subculture that's kind of different from what is normal in society these days?
Yeah, like I actually that did stick out to me because I was like making beats for a period of time. Like I was really into like making like trap beats and stuff like that because I was into some of the hip hop. So I had like a phase with that, was interested in that, and then I was fascinated by like how like musicians would do it too, like how Tame Impala, like how he comes up with all the parts and stuff and records on it. And then now down the line, I'm piquing interest in like making music for fun that way, just like, tracking synthesizer and like bass and guitar and programming drums for fun. So I've been kind of picking that up too again, because it is like a fun, like little separate thing to do when the guys aren't around, the band isn't around and stuff. So yeah, it's fun, I would say.
Definitely. Yeah. So you are not like closed off musically. You're kind of into whatever. You have all kinds of different genres.
I'm open-minded. Yeah. I like different genres and stuff. And
definitely. Man, I remember though, like being a kid and figuring out that some of these like grindcore bands that I was listening to, which was a pretty short-lived phase, but like realizing that some of them were using drum machines on their albums, or at the very least would like tour with drum machines, which just really blew my mind as a kid that was even a thing.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Some of those bands, like those grindcore bands, it sound like just straight noise with like the programmed drums just like going really fast. blast beats.
But it's funny too, because sometimes I find out that non-metal people, like I'm really into this band, the Mountain Goats, and the singer John, it's like more of like a folk type band or whatever, but the dude is like hella knowledgeable musically, and he listens to metal in his free time. That's like his primary genre.
Wow.
Which is like his music is so different, but I guess it makes sense because it's like if you are really into the technical aspect of songwriting and playing guitar, metal is kind of like where the most fascinating, difficult things are taking place.
It's true. Yeah, a lot of musicians in different genres, they really like are fascinated by like the technical difficulty of those bands and how intricate those parts are, and definitely.
So okay, where were you when this whole going on tour with KoRn thing kind of unfolded? Because it was just a chance encounter in the airport. Were you even there?
Yeah, so I was there. I ran into to John and Fieldy, and I remember like I was like first like listening to them like a lot. Kind of, I remember like I was like getting into them coincidentally at that same period. So ran into them and then like got a picture with them and stuff. So I was super stoked they were there. And then and then Fieldy was like seeing my clips on Instagram of me playing.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh, I see like your bass clips on Instagram. You're like, I really dig your playing. You're incredible." And it's like, maybe if you want to do a few shows or something. And I was like, are you serious? Like, really? Yeah.
Because they just needed a bassist at that moment?
I think so, yeah. So like Fieldy couldn't do like South America
for
some reason. And so he was looking for like a fill-in for that tour. That was in like a few months from then. And then I was like, I'll learn some tunes and start working on it.
So they just give you a list of like 20 songs or whatever their set is, and then you just have to learn all these?
Yeah, so like they give me a list, of like their set list, songs they might play and stuff, and then it just started jamming on them, learning them. Super fun songs.
And did you just have to go on tour, or did you like practice with them extensively before you went on tour?
I got together with Monkey, the guitarist, like one-on-one kind of thing. Played through some of the songs, and then mainly like we didn't like rehearse at all, like as a band together. Just kind of went over the parts one-on-one.
Yeah, because I always wonder that, because like I mean, they've been playing the same songs for 20 years. I mean, like how much do you really have to practice together at a certain point?
Right. Yeah. I think they have, or it's like maybe they just want to, go on the road and, they have the songs under their belt, practice on their own, and then get together. And,
But so what was that like? Did you have an adult with you, or are you just like one of the guys? Because you're 12 on tour with KoRn, who granted are in the latter part of their career, but still, I mean, it's probably a pretty wild lifestyle. Different city every day and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. It's pretty wild. So at that time, my dad was with me.
He came with.
He came with.
Nice.
So he was kind of like looking after me, and then just making sure like I get up early and stuff, the alarm and stuff, make sure I make it down in time and stuff. So
I mean, you're 12. Like, what are you staying up late doing? Just like hanging out?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, after the show, I literally just usually just have like an after show meal maybe, or just hang out with my dad and some of the guys, maybe some of the crew guys, and then after just go to bed. But it was pretty chill.
But so there's no like party. There's not like the Metallica after show party. Sorry, this is KoRn here. Now we're talking about KoRn.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it was not really like any sort of like crazy party or anything. But what mainly we do, since it was in South America, we'd like go to like it was like steakhouses and stuff on our free time and stuff. Check out the food in different areas. So that was fun.
I like this like grown man vision of playing music as you get older, just because it's like so many bands, when you think about it, it's like they're just kind of partying their asses off and everything like that. But you weren't really exposed to that at all?
Yeah, not really, like not really too much, like I think because by that time those bands are all older and stuff. So,
but throughout my life, I've known some 40s, 50-year-old dudes who are just still living like they're 20. But I feel like maybe if you're in a huge band, that's not really going to work out so well.
Yeah, usually because at a certain point, it's like, all right, now I need to look after my health or something.
Yeah. Are you? You're 21 right now?
I'm 21. Yeah.
So are you a partier yourself, or what's the lifestyle like?
I like to enjoy myself on like weekends and stuff, but I stay balanced with it. I'm not crazy or anything by any means, but just I just have some drinks every now and then. But
were you like exposed to the lifestyle so much as a younger dude that it doesn't really seem as intriguing? Because I know a lot of people I know by the time they're like 18, 19, 20, they're just drinking themselves to death because it just seems like the coolest thing in the world that they were not allowed to be around. Whereas you were probably always kind of around a moderate amount of people who are living like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think like just seeing it, it's like, all right, it's people, I guess, like there's a limit. Like I think with it, like I don't know, like drinking to death seems like it would be like really exhausting because it's like the next day it's like, oh man, I don't feel like doing this, So like I know my limit, and it's like, just have like a glass or something. But yeah.
When I think about like the parties after high school and shit, and how many people were just doing keg stands and just falling down and puking in the yard and everything, and like, I mean, I think it's good that you've probably like been around shit long enough that you're not feeling the need to like overcompensate, like that. So, how long was that South American KoRn tour?
It was for like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And by the end of it, are you feeling like, okay, it's over, I made it, I'm excited to go back to normal life? Or are you like, holy shit, that was awesome, I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life?
I was like, holy shit, that was awesome. Because I wanted to keep doing it. Because I realized it was just like, it had benefited me in so many ways, where it's like I was like more skilled as a player after the tour. And I was like, this is like the feeling of being on stage is so great, just with the crowd, just everyone's engaged. And I was like, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah. Nah, definitely. But then you got to go back to school and everything, right? Like your parents always like very serious about your education and everything.
Yeah. Like like I went back to school and it was like back to normal life, which is kind of like, it was a shock because I was like, dude, I want to keep doing this. Like it's so weird. It's a weird transition, but yeah, stayed on top of that during that time, and then.
But what's it like going back to school and having to just kind of live this relatively boring existence of doing homework and shit after you just saw what it was like to travel the world with this huge band? Like, was that a little bit difficult to get back to normal life? It's difficult for a lot of adults, never mind being a young ass kid.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like, it was somewhat a little bit normal because I had my friends there. So I was like, oh, I'm going to reconnect with my school buddies.
Right.
So that was cool.
Did you notice any difference between being out with Metallica versus being out with KoRn? Or at that point, was it sort of similar in terms of crowd and lifestyle and everything?
I would say it was quite similar because both of their their crowds are like pretty insane of that part of the world too, South America.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, so like they go insane. So I mean, it was, and the level of those bands are at, it's like in terms of the traveling is pretty similar. But yeah, so I would say they're pretty similar.
Let me tell you, in 1997, KoRn was everything. Not just to me, but like to every other kid who was into new metal and shit. Like Limp Bizkit and KoRn were just like it. Yeah. And to be fair, like at that time when I think back on it, it's like we were listening to like all these Metallica and Black Sabbath albums like they just came out yesterday, because we weren't like constantly being exposed to new bands and shit. And then I get a little bit older and I start to realize like, oh, there's all these metal and hardcore bands that are new that I could be interested in. But like dude, KoRn, like if you had told me that they were really like serial killers, I probably would have believed you, because their image to me was just like, this is the craziest group of dudes ever.
Yeah, no, I'm sure like, back then, like pretty insane. Like the outfits they would dress in and stuff with like the Adidas and stuff looked like straight from a horror movie and mysterious. Like, who are these guys?
Definitely. Okay, so
yeah.
What do you do after that? Now that you've like really got a taste of what it's like to be in a band, you start your own band?
Yeah. So after that, I started my own band, started Auto.
At what age you started that? Because you guys are still together, right?
Yeah. So we're still together. I started that when I was about 12. I started that. And we began around, LA area, started jamming, and started writing tunes. And then that was after that we kind of the Helmets ended, and then after Auto began.
Okay. So but Auto, which has 3 T's, OTTTO.
Right. Yeah.
What was the vision with that? Like, what kind of band did you want to start, and how did it go?
Well, so like originally we were just creating like it was like the guitarist and I and like the drummer, we would all get together and just kind of just write all these like these new tunes. We'd just like have this riff in our mind, like, oh, I'll bring it to the table and let's improvise off of this. And we just kind of improvise off of one part we have there, and started kind of consistently getting together and coming up with sections and just material.
So have you guys toured, or you just like play around LA here and there and stuff?
We've we've toured before. Like now, like we've done a few tours for sure. And then we did like what's like a US and Canada tour. Like last year we did that. And we did another tour like the year before, like that. So and then we did one show in Argentina earlier this year, which was pretty cool.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, and so then from there, how did you end up joining Suicidal Tendencies? So
Suicidal, I've been in the band for like, let's see, 3 years now. So Mike he's kind of been like hearing about my playing and stuff, and like I've done some fill-in shows too, like with Suicidal. I did like one fill-in show when their bass player couldn't do it because of a visa issue. So I went up on stage and did that one show. So I had done some stuff in the past with Mike, and I did like Infectious Grooves, like came up on stage with my dad and like with Mike and everybody. We kind of did that. So like I kind of had that like past experience playing with Infectious and Suicidal and stuff. And then after, like, it's kind of coming out of the pandemic era, and like their funny thing is their old bass player, he plays in KoRn now. So he joined KoRn, and then Mike was looking for a bass player and stuff to like start playing shows with him again. So that's when he reached out, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I was still in high school at the time, so it was like one of my last years of high school. But I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Were you taking a bunch of time off from high school and stuff to go on tour? Or did you just kind of have opportunities that you just want, like whether being with Metallica or going on tour with Suicidal?
Well, so like with Suicidal, so like especially with them, I was like, I did like a homeschool thing, so it was like a remote kind of thing.
It's probably easy as shit to do that these days with so many people doing all that.
Yeah, it was like pretty easy to do, and like with the schedule, I mean, it was still hard work and stuff, but like, it worked with touring and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
What like how big of shows are Suicidal Tendencies playing at this point? They're playing like big festivals and stuff mostly, or do they do like smaller venue tours as well?
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything. I would say like we do like big shows, like festival shows, and then we do like small intimate gigs too.
Right.
Kind of. So
nice.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is it a different crowd from your perspective to the other bands you play with and stuff like that? Because they have, a different flavor, whether it's like a little bit more street, a little bit more hip hop fused. Like, does it bring out a different audience?
Yeah, it does. Like, there's a lot of youth actually at the Suicidal shows, which is really cool to see. Like, a lot of parents bringing their kids and stuff, and like, even like some people around my age like moshing and stuff. So it's definitely like the intimate crowd. Like it's more of a intimate crowd when like there's like those shows like in the clubs and stuff, whereas like they're kind of the hardcore fans. And then at the festival shows, it could be like any fans or multiple bands and stuff.
I mean, I'm just thinking of this now. So pardon me if this has been addressed previously, but are you able to just write the band's name on social media, or do you have to like censor it? Because I personally probably wouldn't want to use the word suicidal in an Instagram caption, just because I know the AI is not taking any prisoners.
Yeah, I mean, you can. There's been times where the Instagram has gotten taken down like multiple times.
I believe it, yeah.
And it's like stressful for, especially, for Mike and everybody. It's like, because it's like we'll be doing like a festival gig and all of a sudden the Instagram will get taken down.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we can't even promote the show, or we'll be doing a club gig where it's like, we can't even promote the show. And it's like always, it is annoying sometimes because it's like, we want to promote the show, want people to come out.
Right. Yeah, because even when I went to go look at the Suicidal Tendencies Instagram, I typed in the word suicidal and then nothing pops up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, right, obviously.
Yeah.
That's like one of the main things that they're not going to let you look up on there. But also, if a band were to come to me in 2025 and say like, yo, this is our band name, I would be like, you need to change that band name, because realistically, there's going to be a lot of shit getting in the way of you keeping that account online. But I guess at this point, they're way too deep.
Yeah. For real.
But okay, so from my perspective, when I was looking up Suicidal Tendencies interviews and stuff, and there's not that many, and I was kind of surprised because I feel like these days every band, everything has just like been over interviewed to the point of just ridiculousness. But I'm surprised that like it seems like they kind of have gone out of their way to not do too much media. Is that the case? Do you know what the strategy is with all that?
Yeah, I don't know. So like, I mean, Mike does interviews and stuff. I'll see him doing a lot of stuff at festivals and stuff.
Oh, okay.
At the shows and stuff.
I might have just missed it, but
yeah, I'm not so sure about how often like press is done outside of that. But yeah, that's as far as I would know, I think.
Because I feel like Suicidal Tendencies is like one band that should have more relevance in hip hop and in the overall sort of like urban community than it does. Like if the fans of like my podcast and shit knew that there was this band that was been around since the 80s that was like from this world that like, really kind of like pushed a lot of like hip hop or urban culture into like the metal scene and stuff, I feel like they would kind of relate to that and think it was dope. I just don't think it's necessarily been like served up to them in a way where it's like easy for them to understand. So I feel like that's one interview that I think would be truly epic, because I feel like there's got to be an insane story that I'm not even really super familiar with.
Yeah, no, totally. I think it would be it'd be rad to have like Mike come do an interview for this. Yeah, because he has like a lot of cool things, a lot of like a cool point of view. That I think a lot of other like musicians and people like should hear. I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just everything. Even if you hadn't heard the band, just looking at the graphic design and what the album covers look like and shit, it's just like super clear to me. Like, oh, there's a lot of people in my channel's orbit that need to be exposed to the legacy of this shit, because it was very progressive at the time in terms of just sort of mixing street culture and metal together in a way that wasn't corny or cheesy. Because it's like that's way before nu metal kind of like takes over the world.
Right. Totally. Yeah. It was like kind of the very beginning of that kind of thing, which was cool. Like that. And then after that, it was like, I don't know if it was like right after, but like the hardcore bands kind of came in with that and took that. That's what I really like about that like culture, is mixing like kind of the multiple different styles into one.
Yeah, it's crazy for me to see too, because like my main years of like listening to hardcore metal were like late 90s, early 2000s, and at that time it's like before the internet had truly taken over, so you kind of have all these different genres of rock and metal that are sort of like not with each other at all, and then you fast forward 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, and all of a sudden like every flyer I see for a festival has like, you know, fucking Hatebreed and Metallica and all these other bands that like normally would just not really overlap at all, and they're just like all on the same bills and stuff like that, because they realize that collaboration or at least being on the same bills is going to bring in more fans. And realistically, like metal and hardcore and shit is just not, it's not so huge at this point that they can afford to be at war with each other. They need to work together. Like if rock music is going to survive, it's probably going to be through sharing fans and like, you know, allowing them to sort of feed off each other, especially live and shit like that.
Yeah. They all kind of like, it kind of all work together. Like, was it like, so in the early 2000s, I'm interested in hearing about how the scene was. Was it like, cause like, so like, it would be like the metalcore kids, and then there'd be like hardcore, and was it like kind of like a split up kind of thing?
And nobody with each other, because it would be like if you're wearing like a Youth of Today shirt and you're like a straight edge kid who's got big X's drawn on his hands and shit, and you got a shaved head and you're wearing basketball shorts, but then there's like a kid in a On Broken Wings shirt, and which I don't even know if that's like a relevant band for me to be mentioning.
I love that band.
Oh, okay, good, because in Boston at the time, that was kind of like the face of metalcore to us, because they were just doing a lot of like maybe like Amur would have been like a bigger example of like the kind of band that I'm talking about. But like very much those cultures were at war. And then if you're a dude with like long hair and a Slayer shirt and you show up at Metal Fest or whatever, and you get in the pit for Hatebreed, it's like people are going to be trying to knock you out. Which in retrospect, why? Like it just sounds so crazy. Like why does the dude who clearly is like a metalhead, like why does he have to be at war with the hardcore kids? I don't really know. But at the time it seemed like it made sense. And then I think as time went on, people just kind of realize like, oh, this is stupid for us to have something against each other.
Yeah, totally. Like I remember like there's, I mean, I still see it sometimes, like those like thrash metal kind of type people are like, oh, like no hardcore dancing or whatever. And I just think it's like now at this point, it's like everybody should just be able to do what they want, you know?
Yeah, totally.
It's like, but yeah, On Broken Wings, they actually played like in Birmingham, Alabama with Suicidal like last weekend at Furnace Fest, and I saw their set, and it was just violent. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I want to mosh, but I was like, no, I have to play a set tonight. I was like, I'll just enjoy the performance.
Yeah, I went on tour with them, and I don't know if you remember this band Black My Heart.
Oh yeah,
from Boston, straight edge hardcore band, and so I'm in this random. There's like a kids amusement park in upstate New Hampshire called Storyland, and I went there when I was a little kid, and I was in New Hampshire recently, and me and my family went there, and I forget if it was the guitarist or the bassist, but I see this kid that I went on tour with that band like 20 years ago.
Wow.
Haven't seen them since. And I see this dude at that, and at first I think I'm just having like a fan or whatever say what up to me, and then I like look at him for a second, and I notice his finger tattoos, and I'm like, what the like that's so crazy to run into while my kid is like sitting on Humpty Dumpty's lap to take a photo. And you know, and I asked him, and he's like, yeah, we've like done some reunion shows lately and shit. And I'm like, yo, like are y'all still Edge? Because straight edge was like everything at that time. And he's like, nah. And I'm like, oh yeah. I immediately felt stupid for even asking, like, who gives a f-? I'm like, he's like, yeah, I don't give a f-. I'm like, oh, okay, right. Like this 20 years ago is the most important thing in the world. But then I went hard on Instagram and Facebook and everything, trying to find links to anybody in the band, and I couldn't find anything. So I have no idea if they're kind of like they're signed, they have a label, they do shows, put shit out, but I don't know, because
it's crazy. Yeah, I was at like 3 of their shows. So I saw there was that show, and then they did some shows here, which they did a show at like this venue called Midnight Hour.
Okay,
it's like this like small kind of like really compact space, but it's like it's so violent because it's like people just get knocked out all the time, get injured, like just like really just tiny, like there's no safe spot really unless you have to kind of just stand further away.
yeah definitely. I mean, On Broken Wings, all right, I just want to put this perspective. In 2002 or 2003 or whatever, they had an album out. And they were one of the only bands that was putting like the mosh calls, I think they were called mosh calls, like on the album.
Right.
Which is basically like, this pit up or whatever,
Yeah,
which
right.
normally you like only say it live, but they
Right.
would like say it in on the
Yeah.
album too. And I remember that
Yeah.
on one song, he said, "I want to see you mosh like you're trying to save the whales, you hippies."
Oh yeah, yeah.
And thinking that was the craziest, funniest like thing in the world. And when I think about it now, I'm like, you were pretty easily impressed at that time, but that sounded pretty badass to me at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is crazy just to think about like how many like sort of overlapping subcultures were out at that time.
It's cool, yeah. And it's like on that record is like a grindcore sound to it, but with breakdowns. Like it was like really like unique. Like not really any other bands have that kind of sound.
Yeah,
so it really stuck out.
Revisit all that shit. But it's funny too when I think about it, because I feel like a big part of why I was so interested in that shit, because I'm really doing like musically, On Broken Wings weren't really my thing. I was listening to shit that was more like Youth Crew, hardcore, like a little bit more just like a different flavor. And when I look back at that, I think like a huge part of why I was so fascinated by it was because so many of those bands and the hardcore crews just seemed like gangs.
Yeah.
And the moshing was so crazy. Yeah. And I was just like purely unbelievably fascinated by the violence that was associated with all this shit. Even kind of like more than the actual music, like from a sociological perspective, I was just like blown away by this shit.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people crazy.
Yeah.
A lot
but
of
it's
people
funny to see
too.
that happening online now, because now they're like Instagram reels of people getting kicked in the head. And that's how people are probably getting introduced to hardcore more often than not.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. And it's like I was like moshing a good amount like for a certain period when I was going to shows and stuff. But then I was like, you know what? I can't mosh because I have to like be careful because I'm going to be playing on stage. It's like I don't want to get injured.
Yeah, because I mean that like is one weird thing about metal and hardcore is that it's like the moshing shit is like such an important part of it as a fan. Yeah, and then as soon as you graduate to being like in a relevant or popular band, usually that kind of goes away. It's just kind of like unsustainable if you need to actually be like playing music consistently because and especially when I think about all that like how the was I not like breaking something like every time? Like
totally.
How did I not at least like break a finger? Like how are you even like I feel like I'm gonna get hurt doing almost nothing at this point in my life. Like how do you go into a pit where everybody's just like literally just kicking the air?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand how I didn't just get like brutally hurt over and over.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what was this thing? Stranger Things had a Metallica part of somebody in the show learning a Metallica song, and you ended up being like the person who actually played it or one of the people. How did this work?
Yeah, so Stranger Things, there was they were working on their like new season, and they wanted the Master of Puppets part played, and they wanted me like kind of a raw recording of it. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll play it. So I tracked it, and I think they spliced it up with some other players too. So it was kind of like a collaborative thing with that part, which was pretty cool. Yeah,
definitely. Do you like? I mean, do you feel like at some point? All right. This is a crazy thing to ask, and I feel preemptively guilty about even suggesting this. But do you think that you will carry on the legacy of Metallica potentially in the future? Because all these guys are older.
Sure.
At some point, some of them aren't going to be around anymore. It just kind of like occurs to me is like, what if like the sons of the band take on the project of like playing these songs? Like, would you be open to that one day? Like if your father wasn't around anymore, or maybe he's like 80 years old and he just doesn't want to tour anymore?
Sure. Yeah. I wonder like, I mean, it's hard to tell on how like the future, because we're all musicians, like all the kids, we're all musicians and stuff, and we're all friends and stuff. So, something might occur with that, but then we're at the same time, we're also obviously separately doing all of our own things too, in different style of music than Metallica. So, but it is a possibility. Can't doubt it.
Damn, that would be crazy if that is how it ended up going.
Yeah.
Is it weird for you? Because there's like a thing that has probably existed for like the last 10 years that was not a thing when I was a kid, which is like you go to Urban Outfitters and there's like a Metallica shirt and a Nirvana shirt and all this shit. Like, is it kind of weird to see a 15-year-old kid wearing a Metallica shirt and you already know that he's never heard it? It's just a cool shirt.
I mean, like I've seen it like a lot already. Where it was weird at first. Yeah. I would say when I was more like deeply, like I guess in tune with the metal culture, I guess. But now when I see it, it's I'm kind of used to it. Yeah. And then. But sometimes, like when I see like somebody wearing a band shirt, I'm like, "Oh, cool, man! Like, what's your, like?" Try to start a conversation around it, and then they don't know anything about it. So I'm like, "Okay, for sure."
It's a weird feeling, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I've probably done it too, because like sometimes I'll get a cool shirt from somebody, and I'll just be like, "Fuck, I'm wearing this shirt." I don't know the band or whatever. Right. I got a Playboy Cardi shirt that I've worn like 1,000 times, and I don't listen to Playboy Cardi. Like, I respect what he's created, but if somebody were to quiz me on Playboy Cardi, I could tell you a lot about his personal life. I couldn't really tell you a lot about his music.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I'm guilty of that too. Sometimes I'll wear a shirt that I think is cool, and I don't really know like what's on it.
Yeah,
too much.
I mean, one thing that I started watching a lot of documentaries and shit after Ozzy died.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I started listening to Black Sabbath a lot and stuff, and I'm just like thinking about the progression of metal and like what came before Black Sabbath, which was not fast. Even Black Sabbath, it's slow as they hadn't figured out going fast yet.
Right.
It's heavy, right? But it's like, and it's evil, but it's not fast,
right?
And then you kind of like, even when you listen to like the earlier Metallica albums and stuff, kind of like same thing. Like it's heavy and it's dark, but it's not like, you know, what metal kind of like went on to become. Yeah. And I mean, really, when you think about that time period, it's like kind of insane to picture like the people that there is just like a built-in natural audience for this type of music, and they just weren't being served really. And if you think of like Sabbath in the 70s, I mean, what was before that? Like I was just watching another documentary about this, but like there was a time period where like the Beach Boys were the biggest group in America, and then the Beatles came along and just kind of took that shit from them. Right. But like at that time, like if you were trying to listen to heavy metal, well, like it just didn't exist yet, and it like came together over those decades.
Yeah. And it's crazy like thinking like the name heavy metal is like, it kind of, I heard it like they didn't name it that, like obviously the band like Black Sabbath didn't name it that. It was like from some outsider, you know, the outsiders kind of named it that, and I heard them just say they just thought it was just like rock they were playing.
Yeah.
So
because they're just like it just kept getting crazier and crazier and more extreme, and it's wild too. You know, it's like a weird thing to think about, because I was again, like I'm kind of showing how many YouTube documentaries about random shit that I watched, but I was watching one that was just about thrash in the 80s and everything, and it's just kind of like, yo, like these bands like Napalm Death was like charting on the charts high up, and it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that that was such a common thing at the time. I'm not sure how often like metal bands ever even come close to the top of the charts these days, but it's wild that as like a cultural obsession was so big at that time. And I feel like it could still happen. It just takes like the right band doing the right shit of just like innovating, doing something different that just like really hits it off with the culture.
Yeah, I think totally. I think it is a possibility, like where there's like if there's a certain kind of style of music or kind of a new thing where it can hit that certain level, like back then or something.
Yeah, the last band that made me kind of feel like, oh, like this could be huge was Sleep Token, and I only listened to them because I had heard that they had been called metal for Disney adults. Which you know, I'm fascinated by Disney adults. Every time I go to Disneyland, I'm just like, how are you people real? But then I listened to it and I was like, whoa, that is what this is. But also, like, this is kind of sick. Like I could see this band kind of like smuggling metal content into the mainstream in a way that
Right.
a more hardcore band wouldn't. Or I saw Turnstile play on Tiny Desk the other day.
Oh, killer. Yeah, they're great.
And I was just like, holy shit, like this band is like, they're probably the biggest like hardcore band that's managed to like make this shit kind of palatable to a wider audience at this point.
Totally. Yeah. Like they're doing, I was going to say like, yeah, like they're like one of the bands that's like that is bringing it back, like with the new flavor to it, and with kind of like live heavy music.
Yeah.
They're great live. I saw them a couple times.
I wonder how much the reaction to that is, because I remember, I don't know if you remember the band Cave-In.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Dude, they were like a huge metal hardcore band, whatever, and then they like went in like a way more melodic direction, and I just remember it being like insanely controversial at that time. And I'm not sure like how much success they really managed to have doing stuff that was outside of that, but it's like that option is just kind of always there for bands as they get bigger and bigger. Okay, totally. my last question is, how, like, do you just love touring, being on the road, being in a band? Because like playing with Suicidal Tendencies is sick. Being on tour with KoRn back in the day is sick. But that's not your music or your contribution. Like, which one are you more motivated by? Is it to just be in a big, well-known band, or do you want to be the one writing the songs or like being really a part of this?
I would say, I mean, I love doing it all. I love writing, and I love playing. I love playing live, and I also love being a part of like a band that's been around for so long and has history. So I think I love if it's with music that I'm into and stuff, I dig it. I'm all about it, I would say.
For sure.
It's great.
But which one, like, do you feel like, could you just be a full-time touring musician going out with Suicidal or whatever other bands, or in your mind do you have to be, do you want to make it known to the world like, hey, this is my band, that we wrote these songs and this is our shit? Or would you be stoked to just be on the road making a living off music?
I would say like I'd say both. I would say both. I like doing, so I would say I like to tour with Suicidal, and then that'll help, like that helps me connect with the fans, and also like I'll get to tell them about my band and stuff, and people, they get to check it out, and then that gets my playing experience up. But then obviously, like the band with my band members and stuff, with all of us together, it's very collaborative, and I love that. And playing the songs I wrote live, that's obviously a great feeling.
Definitely. So, from your perspective, is metal alive and well, or is metal in a somewhat troubled state where sometimes it doesn't seem that healthy? From you as somebody who's like very close to it, how's that feel?
I would say it's alive and well in certain things. I think with the younger generation, I've been seeing a lot more like hardcore. I think and I think I've been seeing a lot more people into like alternative music. So and that's really influential. But I do think like metal is still like alive and well, and I think it's more than anything, I think it's more like respected among like my generation. People like look at the history of it and see like how cool it was, or like a lot of people, like I hear a lot of people talk about like Burzum or Mayhem and how crazy that was, and all just like the history of all these insane bands.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so much stuff in our culture is just fake as like, shout out to all the rappers, but a lot of rap is fake. Like literally, like I remember even like sitting with a band and they mentioned, I think it was when I did the Slaughter to Prevail interview.
Oh yeah.
Which insane that was an actual interview I did, but like one of them mentioned like, things that are completely normal in rap, like selling promo, like paying an Instagram account to post about your band or your rapper or whatever, is like they could just never imagine in metal. It's just like that would just never happen. And it's true that like a lot of shit in hip hop is just kind of fake. It's kind of like industry. There's a lot of like weird shit going on in the background of fake plays and numbers and all this. Like, dudes are buying chains. They're just buying $50,000 chains to pretend that they're something that they're not. Whereas like in metal, it's just kind of like the trajectory is like, no, you're gonna grind this out for 10 years to build a fan base,
Right.
and maybe at some point you'll be able to like make a living from this, but nothing is really guaranteed. So I feel like in a world where streamers are like the only thing that you see news about on Twitter and shit, it's just like, you know, there's got to be a part of the culture that is attracted to something that's a little bit more real and raw. And so, you know, and I try to explain that to people sometimes about rap, like, you know, in my lifetime, how many rappers have I seen live that I would really say were like a great live show? I mean, it's very few, especially just because I grew up seeing Converge play live.
Oh yeah,
like this is just not like, you cannot compare that to Gucci Mane walking back and forth on the stage and saying you know, it's like, and I love that music. Like I will lifetime I've listened to a lot more Gucci Mane than Converge, but the seeing Slayer play live is just like the end of the world. Like it's just, and it's so insane and impressive that they're able to play that well together and been doing it for all these years and have all these crazy songs. You know, it's just, I feel like if anything, like the world, you know, there's a vibe shift happening right now, and I don't know, maybe metal and rock being more popular is kind of on the other side of that.
Yeah. Well, I think, for example, Deftones is huge right now, like with a lot of people my age and stuff, and like the younger generation. It's kind of like weird. They had like a, you know, they were always, I mean, they're always big, but like recently, it's like I noticed a lot of people around my age were like listening to them and stuff, and like it's really cool to see, you know, like all the shows and stuff, and how like much of a younger crowd there is. So I think people are kind of getting sick and tired of like the, you know, just like the track and stuff, where it's just like they want to see a live performance, which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool that that's making a comeback, where it's like you're playing an instrument live on stage, kind of thing.
I mean, in a world where like you can't even tell if something's real when you see it on Instagram now, like you could see a video of your dad punching somebody in the face and you won't know if it's real, you know, because it's just the AI shit is so crazy. So that means that shit that is without question real, that you can't fake. I don't know. Maybe that ends up having more cultural currency, the same way that over the years if I have a pro skateboarder in the room and then there's a rapper in the room, the rapper just instinctively realizes that this guy grinds 20 stair rails on his on his skateboard. You can't fake that. Whereas a lot of rappers are literally faking everything about their career. And that just kind of garners a lot of respect, I think.
Totally. Yeah. It's good to see like the real shit is coming back. So
100%. Yeah. All right, Tye, appreciate you. Everybody go check out his band or go see him on tour with Suicidal when they come through.
Yeah. Check out Otto. Yeah.
For sure.
Check us out. Yeah.
Unalive Tendencies is what I'm going to call it.
Yeah. There you go.
That would be a really good shirt.
Yeah, that'd be a good shirt. Yeah.
I don't know if it would really hit, but
yeah.
All right, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time. That was dope.
Appreciate it, man.
No John Burke, coolest podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe. Drop a comment down below. I mean it. Appreciate y'all.